Okay, everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll do my best to continue to monitor and let people in as they continue to join the meeting. But first, want to say thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. This is a unique situation where we're meeting virtually for the Hamilton Sportsmanship Award winners. Usually, we enjoy doing this at one of the professional games, either the NC Courage or the North Carolina FC men's team. But we're excited to be able to take this time and be with you guys this evening. So my name is John Bradford. I'm the Boys Academy Director for NCFC Youth, and then also have the opportunity to be the assistant coach with the men's team. And what we are going to do this evening is kind of go through the big accomplishments that you guys have achieved by being named the Hamilton Sportsmanship Award, which we're so proud of each and every one of you guys for being named that. And obviously you've done good work to be recognized that way. And then we've got some special guests that we want to be able to connect with you guys, and you guys can hear from them about sportsmanship that they've experienced throughout their careers. And then also just to hear a little bit more about their backgrounds. And then we got some questions prepared to hear back and forth. But just starting off, the Hamilton Sportsmanship Award is something that the club has done for many years now, and it's a very special and unique distinction that we really enjoy having the coaches of each team select the player that they feel embodies the idea of sportsmanship. So each of you that are on the call this evening should be really, really proud of yourselves. You've all done a great job within your own respective teams, and obviously your coaches feel that way. So we have 500 teams, that 500 total players that each one has come from one specific team. And this is something, like I said, that is very unique and very special, and we're super proud of it for you guys to be on here. We have 3 special guests this evening. And as I'm going, I also want to just take a second and make sure that you guys just be, I'm going to keep everybody muted except for our guests. And if you guys could just keep aware of that. And then the other thing you may want to do is try to just make sure it's on speaker view. And then that way you can see whoever's speaking at that moment, as opposed to trying to pick it out of the gallery view. Once people are speaking, the other thing you can also do is by hovering over their name and their picture, there's little 3 dots that appear, and you could put pen to the screen. So that way you're always seeing our special guests as they're talking. So we'll get started in terms of who we have. So first I want to introduce Jess McDonald from NC Courage. Jess, thanks for joining us this evening.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to witness this cool Hamilton Award show. This is actually pretty awesome. I actually haven't heard of this, so I'm just very grateful to be a part of it. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, again, when you see Jess talking, anybody else talking, if you want to try to pin them to your home screen or whatever it is, then you can do that. Next, have Nazmi Abadawi from the North Carolina FC men's team. Thanks for joining us, Naz.
Hey guys, congratulations to all of you for winning this award. Really, really great accomplishment. You guys all deserve it, I'm sure, and I hope you guys are staying safe. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Naz. And then last but not least, Connor Donovan, also from North Carolina FC. Thanks for joining us, Connor.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is the most kids I think I've ever talked to at one point in my life at one section, so it's pretty cool. But no, congrats on all the work you guys did this year, and I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it. So yeah, just to kick us off, we're going to go through our special guests and have them kind of highlight moments of sportsmanship maybe that they've experienced within their career that's been special to them. So I would like to start. Naz, why don't you kick us off and give us a little bit background of your soccer journey, obviously ties to the area and everything that you've been through, and then anything that's been highlighted throughout your career in regards of sportsmanship.
Yeah. So hey everybody. I am actually born and raised in the Raleigh area. I grew up playing for NCFC Youth for some of the years, and then bounced around a few other clubs as well. I ended up playing at Wake Tech for a year. I played at NC State for 3 years. And then I went and I got a contract with North Carolina FC, who at the time were called the Carolina Railhawks. I played there 4 years, and then I moved to Cincinnati to play for FC Cincinnati for a year and a half. And then last year, my wife and I made the decision to move back home. And so now we're back home and couldn't be happier to be a part of the club and back around our family and loved ones. And then I also play for the Palestinian national team too. And that for me is probably where I see the most sportsmanship that I've seen in my career. And I've been blessed to see quite a few of it from playing against great other players and having great teammates as well. But Palestine is a country that doesn't have a lot as far as resources and money and everything like that. And it's pretty cool for me that every time we go to play a World Cup qualifying match, the teams that we play against, the countries that we're playing against, whether it's China or Singapore or whoever we play, are putting us in these 5-star hotels and are really, really taking really great care of us. And for me, it means a lot. And you can tell the players, like, even after every game, it's a World Cup qualifying game. And if they win, if they lose, they come up to us and they have very kind words. And it just shows that it's bigger than a game. It's about being a good person. And that's why I think this award is so special, because all of you embody that. But that'd be my biggest sportsmanship story.
Yeah, and Naz is humble as well. Naz was the captain of the North Carolina FC men's team this year. And I think Connor would agree with me in terms of the sportsmanship that Naz was able to display on the field, in the locker room, and just doing the right things every day. And I think that's the way that it's done. Sportsmanship is not something that happens every now and then, or just
You had a wig
whatever,
curly.
but it's
No,
something.
I said it.
So Naz, appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to hand it over to Jess McDonald of NC Courage and U.S. Women's National Team. Jess?
Hi, as you guys know, I'm Jessica McDonald.
Honey, to be
I was born and raised in Glendale, Arizona, where it's probably still about 100 degrees there right now. But luckily, I now live full-time in North Carolina, where there's all 4 seasons. I grew up playing all sports. I was a multi-sport athlete growing up. I mean, you name it, I dabbled into it. I was even quarterback for a football team one year, and those were just some of the best times of my life, obviously. And I started to play club soccer at the age of 12 and kind of realized my potential come high school, and had the opportunity with youth national teams, and went to junior college, Phoenix College first, where I played soccer, ran track, played basketball, and then transferred over to University of North Carolina, where we won 2 back-to-back national championships. And, I'm just obviously grateful to obviously continue to play in front of my alma mater now. And so I've been in the NWSL every single year. It's been a league. I've played for 6 different teams, and I think I've actually set a record of, how many teams I've played for in comparison to any other player in the league. But I'm just obviously grateful for the entire journey. But what comes with it is obviously great sportsmanship. And I think having great sportsmanship is just very important, because it still spreads positivity and, sort of compassion as well. We lost in the championship in 2017 to the Portland Thorns. And that was just like probably one of the most devastating losses in my entire career. We're playing at the pro level, and to losing a championship, it was devastating. But still, at the end of the game, every single last one of my Courage teammates, and myself included, we told them good game. We all high-fived each other, showed each other some love, and obviously shed some tears afterwards. But I just think that, win or lose, it's just very important to greet the other team and, just continue to spread positivity. It sucks to lose, but, how you move on from that is what's truly going to define your character. And I think that's just very important as athletes. So yeah, that's a little bit of my sportsmanship story.
Nice, thank you. And then for you, Jess, we've got a couple of questions that have come in from some of the younger players specifically. So I'm just going to read them out, and then you can give us your best answer on those. So this comes from Sarah Beth, who's a member of the Thunderbirds. Her question, it says here, we're season ticket holders for Courage games and love cheering you on right behind your bench. Our section is really loud. We really missed going this year because of COVID. What have you missed the most, and can you hear us cheering?
Yeah, I miss having fans at games, to be honest. It's weird because nowadays I could hear Paul Riley actually yelling at me on the field, whereas, beforehand, when we actually have people in the stands, you can't really hear your coach yelling at you. So, that's the one thing I definitely miss is about having fans in the stands is, not hearing my coach yell at me, I guess. But you know what? But having a big fan base really gives you such great momentum as well. You know, soccer can be like kind of up and down a little bit momentum wise for each team. And so when you hear fans going crazy, you feed off of that. And, you know, that kind of what sparks you to, you know, to continue to go, you know. And so that's definitely one thing I do miss about having a fan base is obviously being able to feed off of their energy and applying it onto the field.
Yeah, and I echo missing going out to the Courage games and being able to support as well. From Maggie, who's a member of the 2011 Gold North Girls. She asked, did you play other sports when you were younger? And obviously you said that you had, but the other question is, how did they help you?
Yeah, I've been able to take advantage of each sport that I played and applied my strengths from other sports and the other sports. So, for example, with basketball, one of my strengths in basketball was rebounding. That was probably the best thing I was at basketball. And rebounding helped me with heading. So heading is a strength of mine in soccer, timing, getting up in the air and beating my opponent in the air. So little things like that, you're able to, you know, use your different strengths from other sports and able to apply it and take that to your advantage, you know, into, you know, whatever else that you play.
And then from Madison, who plays for the Fighting Chinchillas. Great team name. What is your favorite move when you were in a game? And then what foods, exercises will make Madison a better soccer player?
My favorite move is a dummy in my, like through my legs. So if, you know, the goal is behind me and I have a defender on my back and I have a teammate playing me to feet, I like to let the ball roll through my legs and turn and go, you know, because usually it catches defenders off guard. So it works for me about 95% of the time. So it's kind of my go-to move. It's very simple, very easy. And, you know, with the Courage, we like to take risks and go forward as much as possible. So that move has definitely been one that I've been able to use to, you know, help my team go forward. Exercises, it depends on, you know, what position you play. I think that, you know, for defenders, if you can have a friend, you know, dribble a ball at you, that would be great. You know, little things like that. Or if you know your strengths, you can perfect those. That's why your coach has you out there on the field, is because of your strengths. So if you can go on and practice and perfect your strengths, that's what's going to help you continue to grow as a player. And obviously work on your weaknesses. That's very important as well. But if you have strengths in the game, continue to work on those and perfect those and be great at those. So yeah, my little 2 cents.
No, I couldn't agree more. Everybody usually focuses on their weaknesses and what they need to get better, but it's just as important, or maybe more important, to find the things that you're great at and make those great. So Jess, I'm going to come back to you with more questions here in a little bit, but right now I'd like to shift it over to Connor Donovan, member of the NCFC. And for those that are at home watching, Connor came through this club, played in our academy, and I had the pleasure to coach him there, and then went on, and he can tell you more about his story. But
yeah, guys, like Nas, I'm pretty deep in the roots of the North Carolina Youth to Pro pipeline. I'm from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. Started out playing club soccer there for Coach Henry. I know a lot of you guys have Coach Henry now. Then it ended up becoming NC Alliance, where I was coached by Henry still and with Yohaan, and then I ended up making the move over to the then Capital Area Railhawks, which is now the NCFC Youth Academy, and being coached by John Bradford himself. And then I was able to go to NC State, played at NC State for one season before getting drafted to Orlando City, where I was there for 3 years. And then I was with Houston Dynamo for 2 years and just came back this past year and signed with NCFC, and was just really extremely happy to be around family and friends and to play for my hometown team. But when it comes to sportsmanship, Jess alluded to it perfectly. I think I don't have necessarily one perfect story, but something that I always find awesome is you can have these intense battles and arguments on the field with your own team, but also mainly the other team. And at the end of the game, you brush everything aside, and you, whether win or lose, and you're humble about it, and you shake hands and say good game. I think sportsmanship's important in life, because I think I mean, sports, and it relates to life, because I think you can learn a lot through sports in life. I've learned a ton. I've learned how to be a better leader, how to be a better person. And I think having that aspect of sportsmanship in your life teaches you just to be a better person. And we're not all going to play soccer our whole lives. So having that really gets you to become a better person.
That's great, Connor. And I just would echo, what Connor just shared with you there in terms of sportsmanship after an intense battle. When it comes to Connor Donovan, the guy does everything as intensely as possible. Trains intensely. You guys have seen him play in the games. Gives everything that he has to it. And I think the unique situation of going as hard as you can against your teammates Monday through Friday in preparation for the game, which ultimately makes them better, makes the situation better. But then, like Connor said, shaking hands at the end of it and moving forward, because it's a collective thing. So that's great. So now some questions from that have come through for everybody. So Sydney of the '08 Girls Premier, she asked if you could go back and give advice to yourself when you were younger, ages 9 through 15, what advice would you give and what would you do differently? It's a great question. Naz, why don't we start with you?
Oh man, that's a great question. Uh, for me, I would just say enjoy every moment that you guys have right now, because right now, while you guys are playing club ball, it's a great time. I mean, when you're playing collegiate, when you're playing professional, don't get me wrong, it's the best job in the world. We're very blessed to be doing it. We love every day of our jobs. But club ball is a little bit different, where you do have your family and your loved ones there every single game, and you're able to play in front of your friends and play with your best friends on your club team. And it's a great time. I remember those tournaments we used to go to together when I was playing club, and I would have so much fun. But my main advice for me would probably, my younger self, would be to try to be the best you can in every aspect of your life. Not only with soccer, I mean, give it your all on the field always, work hard, and you'll go as far as you want, but also in school and in being a good person. I mean, just try to be the best overall person that you can be. And that'd be the best advice I could possibly give myself, my younger self.
Great. Jess, same question.
Yeah. People always talk about their success stories and never really talk about the losses that got them there to be successful. Just know, sorry, my godson is kind of cranky in the background. If you guys hear a little whining, sorry. At some point in your life, you're going to lose. At some point in your life, you are going to fail. It happens to everybody. Does it suck? Yes. But it's how you come out of those losses and failures. It's what's going to define your character and help you grow. That's how you grow. You don't just grow just from winning. There's no space for improvement. So obviously you're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose. You're going to fail. But you can learn from that. And that's how you grow as a player. So that's exactly what I would literally tell my younger self, because you guys, I was such a horrible, sore loser. Like when I was a kid, I would lose at something. I'd lose at a dodgeball at PE, and I would be just so whiny, and it was just so horrible. So, obviously as I matured and grew and obviously realized like, hey, you're going to lose, Jess. It sucks, but you move on from that and you grow from there.
That's a great answer. Connor, same question.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, both answers from Naz and Jess are awesome. For me, the 9 to 15 age is such an important development age for your technical skills. And I think if there's one thing I could go back and tell my younger self, would be to not be afraid to make mistakes, especially with your weaknesses. I think that's the best time to start making those strengths. And I think part of my growing up, I worked really hard, but sometimes I kind of hid away from maybe a couple like weaker things, like my left foot. Like I'm right footed, so I should be working on my left foot. I think it's just being courageous and knowing you're going to have weaknesses, but really putting your nose down and working on them.
Yep, absolutely. Next question. So from Ben of the 2012 Portland Timbers, he asked, how do you train? So Connor, we'll keep it with you, and you can answer. How do you train?
Can you say that again? What was the part of the question?
How do you train?
So I guess I'll go into what I'm doing in the off season right now. Cause when we're in season, obviously we're training 5 to 6 times a week with games in a team environment, and then obviously some individual stuff. But right now for me, it's a lot of strength work. I use this time to try to gain some strength, gain some size, and get prepared for a long 7 to 10 month season. So I took a little bit of time off from the actual playing soccer with the ball, and I'm going to start getting back into that soon. But right now for me, it's a lot of weightlifting and some biking to take some of the pain off my joints. But right now it's just a lot of strength stuff to get ready for the next season.
Gotcha. Jess, how about you?
I'm literally in the same boat as Connor. It's all been just weightlifting and a little bit of yoga as well. Just kind of trying to reconstruct my body, because as you get older, you know, you have to do what you have to do to take care of it, and just trying to do the right thing. So obviously just recovering, I guess, you know, this is kind of like our break and then kind of getting back into the swing of things. But I do work on shooting twice a week. I'm a striker, so you know that's kind of one of my favorite things to do. But right now it's like 90% lifting right now and a little bit of shooting.
Gotcha. And then Naz, for you?
So Connor will laugh when I say this, but I'm kind of a freak when it comes to training because I love everything to do with the ball. I mean, I just use the ball in my fitness. I use it in everything that I do. And so I set up these crazy dribbling circuits where I'm exhausted by the end of them. It's a lot of fitness, but basically I do a lot of dribbling, a lot of shooting, a lot of stuff usually. But for right now, since the season ended, I've had a little bit of a foot injury that I'm just making sure I'm 100% over. So kind of like Connor and Jess, I've been doing a lot of lifting and just some jogs with my son and his little baby stroller. So I've been getting my workouts that way. But for the most part, for the most time, I'll probably lift 2 or 3 times a week. But then every day I'm on the ball at some point and doing stuff with the ball.
Yeah. And I know for all three of you, when it's in season, it's the trainings are intense, and obviously the games are what's being managed for those trainings. And then I think when you get to the professional athlete stage, it really is breaking up your year into different parts, you know, the preseason, the during season, postseason, that kind of thing. I know all three of you guys train really hard. So instead of having each of you answer each one of these questions, I'm going to be specific on these. Jess, do you like games or practices more? That comes from Lily from the Thunder.
Games.
Easy answer, right? All right. Connor, if you could have any, this is a great question. This is from Ava from 05 Red. Ava, I appreciate this question. If you could have any superpower, actually, we might have to get all three for this one. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
For some reason, I thought I knew it. I thought I knew an answer, but now I'm double thinking. I think being able to fly. I like to travel, so I guess that would make everything a little easier. So I'll go with that.
All right.
I think I just took Naz's answer. So
He did take my answer. I was gonna say fly. I think it'd be cool to apparate like in Harry Potter, if we have any Harry Potter fans out there.
Jesus.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to teleport. Just, I mean, of course, fly, but I'd like to get there a lot quicker. So it's like, yeah, Australia, here I come. Let's go. So
there you go. Any pets? And I don't know between the three of you guys if you have any pets. So anybody jump in and answer. That comes from Clara from the Avalanche.
I have 4. I have 2 puppies. I have a corn snake and a betta fish. Yeah, I like creepy crawlies. Yes, I do have a snake. Yeah.
I do not have any pets.
No pets. Connor?
I don't have any either. I'm usually the guy that watches dogs for people, though.
There you go. Good sports.
The fun uncle.
Good to know.
Oh, maybe.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
Okay. From Olivia from the Cheetahs.
English question. What are we gonna wear?
Okay. From Olivia from the Cheetahs. What do you do the morning of a game to prepare? So why don't we go, Connor, why don't you answer that one? What do you do the morning of a game to prepare?
Yeah, I kind of found a routine that I really like from like 2 years ago. But we'll just go the morning. I wake up, have my coffee, have a big breakfast. Now it is usually a tradition with pancakes. So I'll have some pancakes and then I watch TV for a little bit and then I go on a walk and end up doing like a whole warm up routine. And that's basically the morning. And then I guess the next most important thing is just taking a nap. But it's pretty simple mornings for me, just resting and getting ready and hydrated and everything like that.
Gotcha. Very good. We have one of the questions that came from the chat they'd asked if any of you had ever gotten a red card, which obviously may be an example of anti-sportsmanship, but it could be one of those things where if you did, how did you come back from it or learn from it, then to be able to have maybe better conduct on the field?
I'll go. So I got the first red card of my professional career actually this year, and two, in my opinion, kind of soft yellow cards. But to be completely honest, I know better as a player not to get myself in that situation. And so I was devastated after it because it was a big time in the game, but also a big time during our season too, where it affected the team, I think, and it kind of threw us out of rhythm, or in that game especially threw us out of rhythm. And so I was really disappointed with myself, and it was just a learning experience for me. Jess talked about learning from your mistakes, and that's something that I'm taking away from that, where I can't put myself in that kind of situation where even though I do think it was soft, I can't give the ref any reason to give me that card. And so I just learned from it and move on. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and I think the behind the scenes to that one as well that Nas didn't share was the sportsmanship of getting a red card and learning from it. Was that I remember that night after the game coming into the locker room and apologizing to your teammates and putting your hand up and saying, I messed up, but I'm going to make it better going forward. And the same thing to David and myself. So I know that was a learning moment for you. Eli from our U17 Academy asks, what did you guys do differently growing up to separate yourselves from other players and allow you to play at the level you're all playing at now? And I'll just open it up to any of you guys that want to jump in.
Yeah. I truly believe that my mental competitiveness is what definitely separated me from, a lot of the girls that I would play with or play against growing up. There's always going to be bigger, there's always going to be better out there, but it's your mental competitiveness, your heart, that has to be bigger than the person next to you. That has to be bigger than anybody else's out there. If you want something, you go and get it. And that's where your mental competitiveness comes in at. If your team is down or if you guys are tied 0-0, 88th minute, what can you do those last 2 minutes? Legs are dead, 90 minutes in a game, your legs are fried by that point. What do you have to do in order to, try and get a goal? It's your mental competitiveness is what is probably the most important in sports. So yeah, I think mental competitiveness is what beats other teams and other players.
Great. Connor, Nas, any insight as to how you separated yourselves when you were coming up?
For me, honestly, I was always just talking about the competitive aspect, and that helped me out a lot. For one reason is, growing up, I was always the smallest and slowest kid out of not only my team but all of my friends. All of my best friends growing up that I'd played soccer with, outside of school, outside of club ball, were all bigger and faster than me, and I had to learn how to adapt to keep up with them because I was so competitive. So doing that for me, I mean, I'd practice all the time with the ball, and I had to be good on the ball because I didn't really have much else. And then when I got a little bit bigger and faster and everything like that, just naturally as I grew, I started to surpass. So I started to go past them and be able to really leave my imprint on the game. And so I think Jess hit it on the head with the competitiveness. And for me, just repetition. I mean, if you guys love the game, like I know you all do, go out there and play as much as you can.
Okay, I'm gonna smash two questions together here. So this is from Jillian, 2010 Gold South Girls, and then also from Isla, 2010 Navy. So Jillian had asked, how do you get pumped up for games? And wanted to make sure that you guys knew how much she appreciated you guys taking the time to meet with everyone this evening. And then Isla wanted to know everyone's pregame pump up song. So both, how do you get pumped up for the game, and then what's the song that's in your headphones beforehand?
Automatically, I'm pumped up when it's game day. It's like a natural feeling. You wake up, you work so hard at training the whole week leading into that day, and automatically, I'm pumped up as soon as I wake up. My go-to song would probably be "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. I've probably listened to that song probably the most in my career before games. And "In the End" by Linkin Park. Those two are like really top of my playlist.
Nice. Nas, Connor?
Yeah, for me, it goes back to how I was talking about the routine. I think when I wake up and I go through that normal routine on game day, it kind of sets the tone. But I'm definitely extremely pumped when I show up to the arena stadium, especially if it's a night game with the lights on. But I have one ritual I do before every game that right before we go out, and it kind of sets the tone to get me ready for games. I read a quote from Theodore Roosevelt called "The Man in the Arena." And that kind of just puts me in the mental headspace to get going. And for song, I kind of change all the time, but I listen to this song called "Legend" by The Score that gets me going pretty good before a game.
Nice. Nas?
I'd say I'm a combination of two. I'm like Jess, where I wake up and it's game day, but early in my career, I learned as a pro that I'd be so hype all day for game day, and I'd just be going crazy around the house ready to play. And then I'd get to the stadium and kind of be all over the place. So I've learned to taper it down a little bit after my rookie year, and kind of I'll watch EPL games on game day and whatnot. But then once I get to the stadium, as Connor alluded to, then it's really go time. I mean, for me, once it's time to play, that's all the motivation you need. And so it's the best thing in the world, being able to play with your friends and against a competing team. And for a song, I mean, I'm all over the place. I have a lot of different songs I'll listen to. There's not necessarily one that I have to listen to before every game.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's something different about game day. You can feel it with when the players come in and the locker room's full or whatever, and with the youth teams, everyone arriving for warm ups. It's like Jess said, it's the hard work that everybody's been putting into the week. It's the reward, the enjoyment time. From Tate on the '08 Red North, what's one thing to work on to excel under pressure? And we'll stay with you for that, Nas.
One thing to work on to excel under pressure. That's a great question. So for me, I mean, Jess talked about the competitive side of things, and I think one thing that me, Connor, and Jess, and because I know them pretty well personally, one thing that we all have is mental strength. We're all pretty mentally tough and able to put ourselves in scenarios, or when we're in those scenarios, we're able to get ourselves out of them because we're able to push a little bit further than players that we're competing with. I think that comes from, for me, where I get my confidence from is all the hard work I put in on the side. And so my mentality is kind of like, look, like I prepare for this every single day. If it doesn't work on the weekend, it's not because I didn't work hard enough on it. And sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. Sometimes you'll get beat by the other player. I mean, sometimes things can happen, but at the end of the day, if you do all the little things correctly and you're working as hard as you can, then you can accept that. And for me, that's my mentality. So when you do get into a pressure moment, if you've worked on it a lot of times and training on your own, then it'll come naturally to you. And that's what I always try to live by. And so that, and like Jess said, the competitive side of things, where if you love to compete, those are the moments that you live for. I mean, scoring a game-winning goal, having a game-winning tackle, just those are big moments that every player dreams of. And so when the time comes, it kind of just happens on its own at times. If you're used to doing it, then it'll come.
Yeah, I think for every young player, the moment they recognize that pressure is a good thing, because that means there's excitement within the game and that it's going to happen and you can be okay to step up to it. I think that's an important moment too, to echo what you said there. I'm going to put two questions together again, and we'll get answers from each of you guys on this one. So Zuzana from the Arrows asked what the hardest obstacles you've had to overcome in your career, which is a great question. And then Cooper from Navy South asked, who was your inspiration? So if you could touch on both of those, and we'll start with Jess.
Yeah, exactly 10 years ago, I fully ruptured my patellar tendon, which is a worse injury than tearing your ACL. It's tendon in front of your knee, and I fully ruptured it. And my surgeon told me that I had a 1 in 10 chance of ever playing at a high level again. So, I'm not supposed to be where I'm at today playing. So that was definitely very hard. It was a 2-year recovery, and I got my second chance to play pro again, and I took it, I ran with it, and here I am. And someone who inspired me, I know it'd be easy to say someone like Bo Jackson or Michael Jordan, who I don't even know if half you guys know who they are. But anyway, it's definitely my older brother, Brandon. He was an incredible soccer player. He played in the MLS for many years. And, he was my older sibling. He's 2 years older than me. So, I always wanted to be like him. He was the first person that I actually looked up to in my entire life. So to see him succeed on the soccer field, since day one, that obviously inspired me to want to be great and do great at, whatever it is I was doing. And obviously here I am following in his footsteps with soccer.
Cool. Nas, things to overcome and then your inspiration.
Yeah, toughest thing for me to overcome probably. Thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't had too many bad injuries. I've had a few smaller ones, but nothing terrible. Biggest thing for me to overcome was probably when I didn't receive any offers to play collegiate soccer. And so it was always a goal of mine. All my buddies and friends on my team were getting offers. And so having to overcome that, and then kind of, and I think Jess was similar, where we both went to junior colleges or community colleges, and then earned our way to a bigger school. And so that for me was probably the biggest thing for me to overcome, is that disappointment of not being able to go to a college immediately. But it ended up being great for me. So it worked out. And then my inspiration would be Zinedine Zidane. He is the head coach of Real Madrid now. That's probably how most of you guys know him, but he was my favorite player of all time, still is. I'll watch a little bit of his highlights before every game. So he's my all-time favorite player.
Nice. Connor?
Yeah, biggest challenge I had to overcome. My first MLS game, 10 minutes in, I blew my knee out, tore ACL, MCL, meniscus. So as a 19-year-old, and a special day in my career when I had my family come down and I was able to make my MLS debut, I had kind of had the happiest day of my life and probably one of the worst days of my life. So coming back from that and doing it so early in my career, I think was really tough, but I had a good mindset about it. And I've ended up having another knee surgery about 2 years ago now, and I felt the best I have my whole career this year. So I think the attitude that I learned from being 19 and having something tragic like that happen to your career, I think has propelled me into a new man and a new player. But inspiration wise, I think for me, it was my parents. I've seen how much they put in, whether it was driving to practices or taking me to tournaments, and to see all that stuff that they did, and then to repay it in the sense of letting them know it was worth it, and help me get the best job in the world, to play professional soccer, and to have them show up to the stadium and be able to watch, and it's just incredible. I don't think it can get much better than that.
That's a great answer. And I'm sure each one of the kids on the call tonight is going to thank their parents before they go to sleep tonight for all the driving and all the support that they give them. So we'll go through a couple more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. This is a really good question. And obviously everybody on the call is going through a COVID world right now. So Matthew from Sounders had asked, how has COVID affected you and your teammates? So Jess, why don't we start with you and the Courage?
Yeah, I mean, we only had like 8 games this year. So going from between 22 and 26 games to like a handful, that's what's affected us most, just not being able to compete as much as we'd like, because obviously this is what we love doing. So yeah, it was weird because our first time training this year, preparing for the Challenge Cup, we were doing like a social distancing training session. We had one partner and, we had to like stay apart from each other. So it was weird. We had to do that for a couple weeks. And then we worked our way up to 8 people at practice and then, worked our way up to the whole team. So it was very strange, very different. But yeah, I think that lack of games this year is what has probably affected us the most.
And on the men's side, Connor?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I mean, we got started, did a whole preseason, got one game in, and then everything got canceled. So we put a lot of work in for about and then going through the same thing, the social distancing practices, and then starting to get into smaller groups and bigger groups and actually be able to get contact. I think the challenge too is just the anxiety of getting tested every 6 days or 7 days. For me personally, it was a little difficult sometimes. But I think the hardest part about it all was just not being able to see family and friends as much and kind of having to stay inside. And but I think, and also the end, we ended up having to play a ton of games in a short amount of time. I think our last 11 days of the season, we played 4 games, which is unheard of in professional soccer. So, but we got through it. We leaned on each other pretty much the whole time to get through it.
Yeah. And Anas, to add with that, your thoughts on the season through COVID?
Yeah, it was crazy. It's funny because it almost felt like we were back playing club ball a little bit we didn't really have access to our locker rooms, and we were just the way everything was going about. It kind of felt like old school. No, COVID definitely affected everything as far as the way we were able to train, the game day protocols and everything for the entire team and the entire league. So it was a little bit crazy, but you know what, at the end of the day, we were all able to stay safe and healthy. And that's the most important thing for me. So silver lining of it, got to spend a lot more time with my son than I normally would have between us traveling for games and having national team games too. So always try to see the positive in everything.
Yeah, and I would just take this moment for all the kids that are on the call as well. Just how proud I am of our club and of all of you individuals and having to go through this, but it coming out in the fields and training and being able to play the sport that you love so much, even in kind of a weird time and all that. So you guys get a lot of credit for having to deal with that and kind of go through it and all that. And yeah, so I know we have a lot more questions that are in the chat. But I know we got to be respectful of our guest time as well. And so what I'd like to do is just really have each of you, Connor, Naz, and Jess, kind of give some maybe advice to our players that have the opportunity to hear from you this evening, and anything else that you kind of would want to close out with as a message. So Naz, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, you guys, I think I kind of said it earlier, but my advice to you guys would be a couple things. One, enjoy every day. Enjoy that you guys get to play club soccer. There's a lot of other people that would love to be in your position and they're not able to. Number 2, try to be the best person that you can possibly be in every way. Work hard in school, work hard on the field, work hard as a friend, as a son or daughter or brother or sister, no matter what it is, just try your best and give it your all. And make sure you thank your parents for everything that they do for you guys, because it's a lot of driving. Some money is involved and everything too. So just make sure you're always thanking your parents for the sacrifices that they make for you. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Jess?
Yeah, I would say continue to love what you do. I think it can be stressful at times if you don't love it. So, just obviously continue to try and grow as a player, as a person, as a teammate, and be a good person. So yeah, thank you for having us this evening, you guys.
Absolutely. Connor?
Yeah, I think something that I've kind of rediscovered this past year with COVID is and the season is never stop learning. I think use all the resources that you have available with the coaches, with your parents, with your friends, and read books. I think just always wanting to learn new things and be knowledgeable and be passionate about things is massive. So ask questions. Don't be afraid to be wrong every once in a while, but never stop learning.
No, it's all great advice. So before I wrap things up, we've had one question asked several times. So Naj, you got to let us know about the medals in the background and everything you got going on the wall.
So I'm actually I'm at my parents' house. We're having dinner here. We have family dinners every Sunday. So these are some medals that I have from growing up with my different club teams and everything. And then I have my jerseys from different club teams and national teams and stuff. A few of them hung up too. So yeah, there's a couple there. I think the coolest one would be regional championships. Yeah, I mean, thankfully I've gotten lucky a few times.
All right. Well, I want to say again, to all the sportsmanship award winners that are on this call, from a club standpoint, how proud of all of you guys we are. I've been within the club for 15 years now, and I've got a unique opportunity of working on the pro side and the youth side. It's calls like these and opportunities where we have to connect the two parts that really make this club really special, from the pro side and from the youth side as well. So we are super proud of all the accomplishments you guys have made within your teams and on the field. Continue to do that. Continue to give everything that you have to the sport. And then, again, thank you to the three pros that we were able to have on tonight. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Connor. And thank you, Naz. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. Everybody that's at home, let's give a real kind of virtual round of applause for our guests tonight and having them on. Appreciate it very much. And everybody have a great rest of your evening. And again, thanks for joining us this evening. Everybody take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. 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 Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Wait, I'm getting down to like 50.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Will they be sending awards to the homes, or how does that work? I don't know if they.
We're going to be emailing them this year.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Get it. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye. How do you
You're going to get the award on my emails, okay?
All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to close this down.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.